to make content that people would have conversations over.
Yes.
They would actually take moments out of their life and have conversations around the content. And
Yeah.
so right then and there, that was my jam. I literally just decided I'm going to use YouTube as the platform because it's going to go out and find people that are like-minded around certain content. And I just want people to have conversations. Hey, did you see that video that really impacted me?
Yeah.
And so that was where it was at. And just to give you context, the YouTube today, there'll be 52 different Super Bowls happening. That's the audience size that happens on YouTube.
That's right.
So we can actually get a lot more visibility.
Yeah.
In fact, the shows has done a lot more in our little way on YouTube than maybe Super Bowl commercial can.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. Okay, so before we get into a moment where I freaked out for you, you know the moment when MrBeast shouted you out on Joe Rogan, and I sent you the screen grab right away.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, how did you get into kind of becoming like everyone's big brother slash dad on YouTube?
Yeah, it's a couple things. Like my heart is to really get out good content. So I have kids.
Okay.
I see what they watch online, and I'm like, hey, who's actually helping these people make good decisions?
Yes.
You know, there's a lot of fame, there's a lot of money, and there's a lot of worldly ways to look at things. I'm like, who is being that? And so I vowed I would actually be one of those people that would just try to amplify life. I would look for people that have talent, and I would help them literally amplify it. And so for me, it was a very, very big prayer that I would give every day. So I'm like, God, you know, there's so much content out there, and I look at the landscape of YouTube and online, and it's deplorable content. And so for me, it was like, could I inspire YouTubers that would inspire other YouTubers? And so I remember there was a social media platform called Vine, and it died. A lot of people were coming over to YouTube. Zach King was coming over to YouTube, and a few other YouTubers that I don't like to talk about too much. But some of them were the fastest growing channels on YouTube. They were doing deplorable things, and everybody thought that was the gold standard. And they're like, if I need to grow, I need to be bad to people. I need to treat people bad or prank them or whatever. And I'm like, no, that's not good. And I remember just praying to God. I said, God, you know, help me find people. Help me discover people. I'll give everything that I have just to discover people like you and others that are amplifying life. And I want to take what I learned and help them amplify. And so fast forward, it was 6 years ago, I was at my conference at Spin Summit where we trained these YouTubers about strategies and tactics in business and longevity and so on, that I saw a short film that a creator made. And it really spoke to me. And this short film, I knew it was low budget, and I was pulled into the story. And I'm a content snob. I just was it really that good? You know. And so my criticality is really high, but it was really, really good. It spoke to me, and what spoke to me was I never really thought about how life would have been like in the first century at the time of Jesus' birth. I always saw Jesus' birth and the wise men and the shepherds, but I never knew what was their life really like. And so immediately I was pulled into it. And what I loved was the symbolism. It was really, really rich in symbolism. And it just spoke to me. It spoke to me that this poor shepherd, who's like the lowest on the totem pole, just wanted to be ripped up inside. You know, and then he was even being cast out and rejected by others. And when he went into that synagogue, my heart was like, yes, he's finally there to learn, and yet he got kicked out. But it was what happened next. If you remember, that's when Joseph interrupted him and says, hey, you know, we've been traveling for so long, you know, where's the well? And he pointed down where the well was at. But then he remembered he had water. And so here he is. I mean, it still gets me to this day. He gave his water to the woman that was about to bring forth the living water. And I was like, this is brilliant. And I found out this creator's been trying to do a TV show, and I met him the next week. And what was beautiful from that, from day one, from the first time I met Dallas, we hit it off. We just We kind of saw the world the same way. He's really strong in some areas, and I'm really weak in those areas, and I was really strong in some areas, and he was really weak.
Yeah.
And I loved his vision, and for me, it was about really getting people to know about that vision.
Yeah.
And I felt at that time, I'll be honest with you, I felt like I was prepared, because I've been developing audiences my whole career to assist, this creator that had a great vision to share that vision with the world. And so from day one, that's kind of where it all started. But my prayer didn't stop there, and I want to just kind of mention this. I still wanted to impact YouTube, because that's where our kids go watch content.
Right.
And I remember after I talked to Dallas, and it was kind of a freak out moment. It's like, man, you're really tall. And he's like, man, you're really big bone.
Dallas is really tall.
I know, I just didn't expect it.
Yes.
But it was like, I called my wife, I said, honey, we're starting a new company. She's like, oh, that's nice to hear. We're going to do a TV show about Jesus. Oh, that's great. That'd be nice. I have crazy ideas. So, she's like very supportive. But it was when we started to write scripts and we went to Jerusalem.
Yeah.
And I want to come back to Jerusalem a little bit later. Yeah. But it was, kind of getting, hey, this is going to happen. We're gonna make the show. People are starting to show interest in it.
Yeah.
That I was scouting with Dallas in Texas, and so there's this lady that felt connected to God and needed to build Capernaum in the middle of Texas. Like, that's weird. So we went there, and right then and there we scouted out that beautiful, beautiful set, and I get a DM on Twitter, and it was from a YouTuber. And this YouTuber had a couple million subscribers, and he says, hey, would you mind just jumping on the phone and talk data? And I'm like, sure, let's jump on the phone. And I remember coming just not far from here.
Yeah.
And just jumping on the phone, saying, hey, I'm going to get a flight tomorrow or whatever. And had a really, really good conversation. And this kid, he was 19 years old at the time, he goes, where are you at? I said, Dallas, Texas. And he goes, I will be there in 6 hours. I'm like, you're not going to be here in 6 hours. But he got on a plane and flew there, and sure enough, he was here in 6 hours.
Come on.
And we spent the full day together, and he shared his heart with me.
Yeah.
He goes, I just want to be the biggest YouTuber of all time, and I want to make a ton of money and just give it all away.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's great. And so for me, what hit me was, this is a moment that we can have a new example for YouTube.
Yeah.
Someone that's doing good things.
Yes.
Instead of deplorable things.
Yes.
And what's been great, as The Chosen was able to grow the popularity, so was this creator. And he's actually the biggest YouTuber of all time.
And his name is MrBeast.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that happened while you guys were developing. What a trip.
Yeah, it was so crazy.
Okay, so how does VidSummit play into all of this? Because it really seems like you leverage your expertise from the advertising and marketing world to be early on YouTube, to pour into other YouTubers. You build VidSummit, and this is what I mean by like Hollywood 2.0, right? This is, I think there's going to be a bunch of guys like you that come from this space to fund stuff and get stuff off the ground and executive produce stuff that wouldn't exist 20 years ago.
Right.
So how did VidSummit come into play?
So 10 years ago, I was realizing I have very creative friends, but they have no business sense whatsoever.
As most creative.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, you can do some good business principles here. And they're starving, and I'm like, you don't need to starve. You can actually figure out a way to bring in the money.
That's good.
And so instead of like, one thing about me, I don't complain. I just try to find a solution, and there wasn't a solution out there. So I says, hey, I'm going to start. I'm going to find a place that I can influence people to help them create better content. And for me, I wanted better content throughout the world. The best way to do that is make it economically feasible for them to create content and incentivize. I mean, just look at you just a few years ago. You're in a totally different position now. You're able to produce a lot more content. You're able to build a team because you were able to put a plan together and have clarity on what you're really doing. It's not all over the place. You're really focused now on your content. You've been able to grow. That's what we do at VidSummit. We want to help people see that. But we just actually had VidSummit here in Dallas, Texas last week. And we have the biggest YouTubers on the planet. We had MrBeast, Ryan Trahan, Michelle Carre. I mean, these are the people that are the gold standard of YouTube.
Yeah.
And every single one of them are positive content creators.
Yes.
And they're willing to share it.
Yeah.
And so VidSummit became a platform of, hey, when you are blessed, it's sharing with others.
Yes.
You know, when you understand something, it's not your competition.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's collaboration.
That's right.
It's help.
That's right.
You know, if you're a taker of knowledge, be a giver of knowledge. And that's what VidSummit is all about.
That's so cool. Now you got to tell me,